premature assessment by which he does all the time. He did it when the planes collided over Washington D.C., where he jumped to conclusions that it was DEI. What do you think about his statements as to the obliteration of the Iranian nuclear site?
Well, I mean, without necessarily watching the video from the strikes themselves, and having intel on the ground, I think that intel that he may be conclusive to determine that the targets that were hit were in fact obliterated. Now, in many cases, anyone that has a cache of munitions in different areas may not always have them visible, and it does not necessarily limit or prevent the capabilities of that country being able to produce whatever particular weapon that they were trying to create. While he can, so I think with the information that he may have received, could have confirmed that those targets were actually taken out. I don't think that the language is appropriate, nor any future threats to this magnitude they're not diplomatic, and by no means. So I don't like the approach. It also seems very hypocritical to call Iran a bully, and we are the ones who are bullying. By this very statement, by sitting there saying that, well, now you must seek peace or else. So you made an ultimatum where you are promising more violence and taking gratitude in the fact that that they are now a little weaker, or more vulnerable rather, than they were before, due to the attacks. It's alarming because of the simple fact, again, me being in the military, knowing that how we have to respond to these situations, and the simple fact that our allies are not seeing this being done in good faith, and so that creates problems. Many of our wars were won with joint task force, and that was whether they were Germans or whether they were Brits or whether they were Spanish Marines.
Yeah, the coalition of the willing.
Yeah, we have. And so by looking at this and the fact that we're taking great, glee in destroying the nuclear power capabilities and again, unprovoked in Iran, again, I think it also sets a precedent that this could happen anywhere. So again, why would other countries, feel comfortable in supporting this? I mean, it's unfortunate. I just hope that those who have the influence to being able to levy whatever influence legally within the bounds of the Constitution to do so.
But you know what's unique, though, Ernest?
What's that?
In the sense that Cruz was on, this lady, I think it was Face the Nation, if I'm not mistaken. You guys can check it. So the lady asked Cruz, what did he think about, what occurred in Iran and what's happening in Iran and with the Israeli state and this and that. And he is a doomsday prepper. I mean, he believes in the coming of the Rhapsody. Okay, he believed that the Rhapsody. I'm not, I'm religious, all right, but you just don't just arbitrarily say, okay, this is the Rhapsody. But he believes so strongly that he agrees with Israel on whatever they need to do. And then he did not know how big Iran was. He did not realize Iran is 4 times larger than Iraq. 4 times larger than Iraq. And they have some offensive capabilities. They may not be military in a sense, even though they have all these terrorist groups that support them, all over the region. Okay. But he did not know.
Who you talking about Rubio?
No, I'm talking about Ted Cruz.
Yes. It was Tucker Carlson. It was the interview that he
Tucker Carlson. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Tucker Carlson, and which is a friend of those guys apparently. But then again, I don't know. He's looking for something.
Yeah.
Looking for some publicity. But he asked the man, "What's the population?" I mean, he should have said 90 million, but he didn't even know. He wants to fight an enemy that he doesn't know anything about.
Right. I mean, it's not and again, Senator Ted Cruz is another one who is also just as much of a hypocrite.
Oh yeah,
Again, was heavily critical, and rightfully so, of Donald Trump during the time that he was running for president. And then again, all these 180 terms, and this blind loyalty that, hey, anything that he says, hey, we're just going to go along with it.
apparently. I mean, they're afraid. I can't even imagine anybody within the party going against him because
But
they're putting their life on the line.
see, this is the thing, and that's it's bizarre to me, right? Because again, someone who was in office, you feel like your life is on the line. But then someone like myself and many others who are in the military, our lives are on the line.
Yes,
And the purpose of being in any of these positions of trust, public trust, right, is not to take that trust lightly. And I don't think that they're upholding their oaths the way that they should. But then at the same time, as those who elect them to office, I don't think that we're doing our jobs enough by holding them accountable to the things that they say. The level of hypocrisy and the contradictions that they make in their actions on a day-to-day basis makes them unfit to continue to serve in the space that they are. So either it's woeful negligence, right, or it's or malicious intent to disregard the Constitution, to disregard their oath of office. And so again, I would just hope that those who are of any influence, and whether that's to run against them, whether it's to no longer vote for them, or whether it's or other means, because members of Congress can be expelled from office and other elected officials can be impeached. So there are ways of being able to do it. And I think that we all should move as if our lives are on the line, because if we get into a nuclear conflict with anybody, I don't care if it's the smallest country that has.
North Korea. Yeah,
Yeah, it
whatever.
doesn't. I mean, yeah, if it's but if it becomes a superpower, a super country, then yeah, that's a huge issue. But any country that has nuclear capability is a problem. And although a nuclear weapon that goes off in one particular part of the country may not affect the entirety of the country, it's enough to affect us all. Because either
Exactly.
that's going to be a loss of life, that's going to affect our communities. It's going to be a loss of a resource that can
It
affect
would
our
probably be a loss
community.
of our way of life.
Right, our loss of our way of life, and so this is not something to kind of take lightly. This is not something to where we can just wait until the next election. This is not something where people continuously can just sit on the sidelines and just ignore it, or say that it's someone else. It's not someone else. It's our problem. Because if it's again, to the point that you made earlier, when you start with this group, then who's the next group? Then who's the next group? So it doesn't matter who gets it first. It's like almost like getting a whooping at the house and everybody's about to get it. It don't matter if the little sister go
That's
first or
right.
the
You
big
would,
brother.
yeah,
Everybody's about to get it.
everybody's got to get it. That's
So
right.
unless we confess about what actually happened, so we can prevent this daggone butt whooping, or we just gonna be like, okay, well, I got mine. I'm not saying anything, so everyone else can get theirs too. We can't approach it that way, because again, the consequences now are too high. Because if we want to really be the protectors of our children and grandchildren, then we have to be willing to make those sacrifices and do the necessary actions now.
Well, you know what my motto is?
What's that?
We have to be willing to die for our freedom.
Absolutely.
That's it. What they call it, full stop. I heard
Yeah.
this guy at a job that I was at back in '97, I believe. I was on assignment at Barclays Bank, and I came in and we have these meetings, and we determine what the requirements are for a particular project. So the guy that was in charge of AML, anti-money laundering, he had this tendency to end everything with full stop. So I was thinking, man, I haven't heard that term full stop since we used to send cables back in the day and telexes. Because on a telex, you would say, dear sir, stop. Please do this, stop. Okay, and I'll get back to you later. Full stop was the end of that telex. When we used to type telexes on the keyboard, the secretary, they have this big secretarial pull, and they would type these And that's what they would use. That full stop meant something to whatever system they were using to send. It wasn't a system, but to send those telexes. And that's going back to the early 90s. So that full stop term, full stop has come back again. So people are using full stop.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard one of Trump's loyalists mention full stop. I think it could have been Vance. It could have been Rubio. But what they using full stop now. So we in trouble. They're going back in the past. And then the mere fact, and I hate to jump, back and forth, but the mere fact that Trump wants regime change, and he's saying no, but at the end of the day, they do want regime change. That's why he called it MEGA, make Iran great again. Because he's looking at probably some casinos and this and that, and, some residuals that can go to his family forever. I mean, you really don't know what the guys... And you know what? I want to end this with this. As soon as this nickname came out for Trump of Taco, all right, and we know what that acronym, you know what it stands for? Trump always check
Hours
out.
out, yeah.
Always chickens out.
Chickens
Trump
out, yeah.
always chickens
Chickens
out.
out. Yeah.
Well, once that taco term hit social media and this and that, next thing you know, he's dropping bombs on Iran. I think it's just a reaction because he's a little kid in his mind. I think he got offended that he wants to prove his prowess. He wants to prove that he's not a chicken, but he's not doing it himself. He's sending other people to do it for him.
So, I mean, we could use cowards out, with chicken out. I like coward out because I think even bombing is a cowardly move because, it's hard to be diplomatic. It's hard to be, it's easier to lash out. It's easier to have a temper tantrum. It's harder to be where we're going to have tough negotiations and things of that nature. And part of, I think that the thing when it comes down to who has a nuclear power, I think that we all can just do away with nuclear, but we've already seen the destruction of it. And
But that's never going to happen because
right, no, I'm not saying it for some utopic, outcome. What I'm saying is that if the situation is the fact that, okay, well, if this person has one and that person has one and they feel safer with it, then okay, well, why not? And matter of fact, that's one thing that I guess it becomes another thing that's a contradiction because we definitely believe in the Second Amendment in the United States that everyone should be able to be armed, but we don't share that. But we don't share that same sentiment when it comes to the rest of the world.
Kind of thing. Yeah, if you want to compare that. Yeah, come to think of it, I mean, Israel has the bomb. I mean, the Big Five has the bomb. NATO, the EU has the bomb. All right.
Yeah. So I mean, so again, it's something else that like, okay, it's okay for this group, but not okay for that group. And at the end of the day, if one country has one and we have many, because I will not begin to ever say what the United States has. But if one country has one and we have many, one is always less than many.
That's right.
So and therefore, they're not more of a threat. And I think that to some presidents in the past and other secretary of states have said, and the SecDevs, it is better that we know what they have than to not know what they have.
That's
so,
true.
So I'd rather know that this person has this type of weapon and capabilities than for us to be surprised.
Okay. I would just like to say to the audience too, is that, the weekly, we touch upon, and a lot of times we may go too far into geopolitics. Okay. As I said, that when we started the Walt Weekly, we were apolitical. That was one of our mission. Our goals was to be apolitical. But since these environmental changes have occurred with Trump and coming into power with a total disregard for human rights and throwing all of our, destroying or decommissioning our institutions and stuff of that nature, we thought, and we have decided rather, that we need to be another voice of opposition to what's going on in this country.
I wouldn't say so much that it's oppositional or that it's partisan or that it's political in a sense. Because apolitical does not disregard objectively what is occurring, right? I don't have to sit there and say that you're anyone's R or D or an I as far as Democrat, Republican, or Independent. or the Green Party or whatever the case may be. But objectively, if I am seeing things that are inconsistent with creeds or oaths of office, if you are seeing actions that are adverse to good order and discipline, to law and order, to anything that, saying that, from what is being stated versus what is being done, if we can be objective about it, I don't see that as being partisan, you know.
Well, yeah, I understand. I
And on
understand your
top of
point.
that,
Yeah.
hold on one more thing. And on top of that, whether we're talking about entrepreneurship, whether we're talking about home ownership, whether we're talking about employment, or any number variant of topics that
Hmm.
we may cover throughout voter registration, voter education, parenting, abortions, or medical treatments, they all tie into what's happening in our government. And I think apolitical, we can still make those distinguishments.
I think I need to clarify when I say apolitical at that
Okay.
time. I went back to 2019, 2018 when I first started thinking about a podcast and what would I do
Hmm.
and how would I leverage your podcast. Okay. And the first thing I wanted to do is I laid out a criteria of what would be on our show. And that criteria was no entertainers, no athletes, because those are stereotypes. Even though it's a good field to be in, and if we gain capital that way, that's where we gain capital. Fine. All right. And no politics, meaning we could talk about incidents of the day, but we do not endorse any candidate. That's the way we started out. We don't endorse. So let me be clear. Okay. But now we've thrust into a position where we're damn if we do and we're damn if we don't. So we're going to do whatever we think is the best information that we're going to determine which is the best information push out to our community, whether that be good or bad. And I think that we've been loyal and true to that, these last 6 years, right? So, I just want to tell our audience that we are going to venture into geopolitics. Y'all guys, hopefully you'll listen. Hopefully you'll learn because, I think everything we do adds value because I learn every podcast that we do. I learn something. Okay. And y'all guys are going to learn something. And with that, I'm going to end this and just say, guys, follow, listen, subscribe. All right. Tune into our YouTube channel, YouTube.com/The Walt Weekly Podcast. Listen to us on all the major streaming services. That's from Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play. We're there. And also, if you could make comments, if you don't like something that we say or you disagree, make a comment. Tell us. But we're going to keep moving forward. And I'd like to thank y'all guys, talking about the audience now, for your support over these last 6 years and looking forward to another 6 years. Right? So have a great day and we'll see you on the next episode. Thank you, Ernest. Take care,
Thank you.
man. All right. Cheers.